morning and welcome to another edition of Power Talk. My name is Patrice Harris and I am the Corporate Communications Manager at SKELEC. Power Talk is a radio program brought to you twice monthly that shares with you all of the latest updates and happenings at SKELEC. Today, we are going to be speaking about illegal dumping at our substations. We have quite a number of substations here on St. Kitts. I can't tell you the actual amount. Hopefully Mr. Gilbert might be able to share that with us. But we have quite a number of substations here in St. Kitts, and we are recognizing more and more that persons are just discarding of their waste, dumping their garbage and their litter into our substations, the surroundings of the substations, and that is creating environmental hazards, health hazards and electrical hazards as well. And so we want to engage in this public awareness initiative today to discourage members of the public from dumping in our substations. So with me I have two distinguished gentlemen who are actively a part of the SKELEC company as well as the Ministry of Health, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves.
Good morning, my name is Javid Gilbert, Control and Operations Superintendent.
Hi, good morning. I'm Mickey Brown, Environmental Health Officer.
Alright, good morning Michael and good morning Javid, and welcome to today's edition of Power Talk. So as mentioned before, we are discussing illegal dumping today, and I want you, particularly Mr. Brown, as the Environmental Health Officer, to explain what is considered as illegal dumping. When we hear that term, what does that mean?
Well, illegal dumping is the disposing or discarding of any item which we do not want into a public place or into any area where it is not illegally prescribed. So that includes bottles, papers, rubbish, any kind of waste matter, any kind of containers, shells, even if it's natural, like people just toss peanut shells. All those are considered to be litter. And once it's not done in an area where it is prescribed to be done, it is considered illegal.
So the only place you can dump is where?
Legally, wherever the local authorities, us, our solid waste post a dumpster or a bin, and the Solid Waste Management Corporation landfill over at Connery.
So if I just have my bottle, I'm having water, I'm eating a snack, and I just discard of it on the ground anywhere, that's illegal dumping.
That's illegal.
And I can be in trouble for that.
Yes, you can be in trouble.
Okay, so we spoke earlier about some of the risk of the illegal dumping. So what are some of the health and environmental effects of illegal dumping?
Well, when we, because it is a local problem, when we dump indiscriminately, we can cause anybody to get sick. One, because of the fumes, because some people dump also chemicals, not just paper waste. Some people dump chemicals, so the fumes from that can cause people to get sick. Also, when we dump food waste, we attract pests and vermin, rats, mice, cockroaches. We attract them, so those vermin can spread diseases. And also from the food itself, once the food starts to break down, we have microorganisms going onto the food and can end up into onto surfaces and other food, which can cause illnesses also.
So we're speaking about major impacts to the environment in any area where dumping takes place. Now, Mr. Gilbert,
Yes.
you are one of the superintendents who would do routine checks at the substations.
Yes.
Tell me especially as it relates to dumping, what is it that we tend to see happening, and we're going to talk about the safety hazards as well.
Yes, what we would tend to see happen when we visit a substation, we'll find persons having their bags, garbage bags full of different plastic bottles and personal hygiene stuff, different various things that they would just simply throw over into the substations. Also, we'll see persons building stuff onto the substations, like maybe a little shed or the various, I could call various places, like, you know, we have a substation in camps, persons dumps some stuff around there, and they have something built onto our wall there. And then we have like Royal Bank Substation that is basically in First Caribbean parking lot yard. Every week I get a call from the maintenance personnel at First Caribbean that someone dumped more garbage into the substation. So these are things that been concurring over and over again.
So it's the one at the back of Bank of Nevis and Royal Bank. So that area there on, we call it the Bay Road, right by the stoplight.
Yes.
So we do have a substation on the back of that high wall.
Yes.
And we're recognizing that people are just throwing. We're not giving you any ideas, please, not ideas, but that is one of the substations that is really impacted by the litter at this point in time.
Yes.
What are some of the other areas? I know you mentioned some already where we see a lot of dumping.
Okay. Yes. An interesting one at Buckley's substation, the outdoor substation. Persons, I don't know if there was a roof renovation that was taking place. They took all the T111s that are old and rotten, and they just placed them into the substation. So now we will have to, SKELEC will have to hire persons to now to collect those out of the substation to get them properly discarded of.
And when this dumping does happen, what does that mean for SKELEC? Are we the ones who have to go and clean it up?
Yes, it is a cost that SKELEC will have to incur, because we have to keep our surrounding substations and inside the substation clean, so we could safely operate whatever switch gear or prevent fire hazards or electrical hazards from
But
taking
that's what
place.
we're going to talk about now, safety hazards.
Yes.
When persons go, and we have only spoken about dumping so far, but we know we have some other issues we're going to talk about later down. When persons go and very indiscriminately throw over, and it's like big garbage bags, like tons and tons of garbage bags, so they have declared them as their dumping areas. So these bags over into the substation. We have infrastructure there, we have equipment there. What are some of the safety hazards? And I think Mr. Brown already mentioned some of the health hazards, but I want us to get the message over very clearly to the public.
Yes. So, as going back to the safety hazards, it starts with the technician going to the substation, recognizing the amount of debris or garbage that build up from persons dumping it. They have to try to clear that. In clearing that, anything could happen. Probably there would be maybe an exposed cable, that the technician did not recognize just by simply walking into the substation to see what causing the outage or what problem that is taking place in the area. So those are some of the first issues that we're looking at. Also, we're thinking about the guys that going there not prepared to do sanitary work, but to do the normal duty electrical work. So they're exposing themselves to whatever potential hazards that are in those bags. Yes.
That's a major problem.
Yes.
And then when we get the rats and the rodents and all of that again.
Yes, and especially rats and the rodents. And they carry a lot of diseases, so we have to be cognizant of the situation, calling out to the public to stop dumping in our substation.
You can't say it and smile, Javed. You have to be very serious.
Yes, so as Patrice said, we need to stop doing these illegal dumpings.
Mr. Brown, you wanted to chime in?
Yes, also with the hazard and the employees of SKELEC, there can also be sharps in the waste. So sometimes some people dump, especially those who have diabetes, and so they need to use injectables. So if those are not disposed of properly and they're being disposed by the substation, the men are at risk of going to touch or pick up that container or plastic bag, and they can get dug or stuck by the pins and the needles, which can contaminate them. Also with the rodents and the other pests. Rodents, the droppings and their pee, for a better word, urine. That is one of the main ways that leptospirosis is transmitted. And we only have to touch it, or in the case of pee, if it gets dry, it gets evaporated and it can be inhaled. So that is the exposure it putting the electrical workers at. And let me tell you now that the risk for the electrical worker is not only at the electrical worker, because some one of us, we are connected in some way. And in this small island, we are only like 2 people away from somebody. So that connection can come straight back to us and affect us or any of our family members.
Yes, very, very strong point. I hadn't even considered before the type of impact it can have, not only on our employees who are not prepared, who are not hired to do sanitation duties rather, but what the impact of that can be. I know I spoke with some members of the team and they mentioned about the challenges that they would have with rat infestation, because rats bite everything, and that will have an impact on the infrastructure as well. The soil erosion, because of the constant moving and the biting and the going down into the ground and so forth. These things can cause outages and can delay how quickly we can restore outages, because we don't have to go and move tons of garbage before we can make our assessment.
Exactly.
So Mr. Brown, you're going to be the authoritative figure today, because you're going to tell us what the legislation speaks to as it relates to illegal dumping.
So, okay, we have 2 sets of legislation that we work with when it comes to illegal dumping. One is the Public Health, Safety and Nuisance Abatement Act. That speaks to a fine with a ticket. With this fine, will carry you to the magistrate court once you do not adhere to what the instructions are, and within the time, because there's a time limit also. So when you go to the magistrate court, it is up to the magistrate discretion to fine you or give you a fine. If the nuisance is not abated within the time that the magistrate gives you and we have to go back to the courts, the offender can be fined along with the original fine, $200 per day, as long as how long the nuisance existed, and then the magistrate can fine you again. Because health laws are criminal acts. When you can't contravene these acts, they are considered to be criminal acts. Most people don't think of it that way, but it's actually a criminal act against the society. Also, the other one is the Solid Waste Act. Well, the Solid Waste Litter Abatement Act, actually. It falls under that purview. Now with that one, we have a ticketed system, a ticket book that we can issue for indiscriminate dumping, especially if you are found dumping at the point, and that one carries a $500 fine. So we don't have to go courts with that one. Once you are ticketed, the officer, just like a traffic ticket, the officer carry it to the magistrate court, and you either go to pay it, other than that you go to the court system, and then you actually end up paying more in time and money. So those are the instruments that we use to try to curtail the dumping.
Alright, Mr. Brown, thank you so much for that. I hope that this serves as a deterrent to individuals from wanting to dump illegally, not only at our substations, but at other sites. You just see people naturally throw garbage and it accumulates there, and it turns into a very, very unsightly place to see because of the garbage there. I'm going to open the phone lines very shortly so you can start beginning to call in. But before we do so, I'm going to allow Mr. Gilbert to speak. We have a caller already? No? Oh, we do? Alright. So, good morning, caller. You are live.
Hello, JQ.
Good morning. You're live. Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Henry and Inspector Fitz. In the driving manual,
Hold on there, Sonny Boy. I think what you're looking at right now, it's a rebroadcast of the program on the road from earlier this morning. So we do apologize for that interruption in our programming. Over to you.
All right, thank you. So, Mr. Gilbert, I was asking you to speak to some of the other challenges that we're experiencing at substations. It's not only dumping, we have some other challenges. The public is really kind of doing as they like at our substations. So let's talk about that.
Yes, at the substation that we will also have recognize that those more in the countryside persons would use the substations as their pen. They keep their animals in the substation, the sheep, the horse, in the substation. We
Horse?
horse, yes, even up to horse. And so we go and speak to the owners of
I'm taking a tour with you, Jamin.
animals.
I have to see these things.
Tell them, to stem away from that. What we also recognize, derelict vehicles that mechanics are whatever reasons they accumulate around substations, and sometimes we're trying to navigate to the substation driveway. Those vehicles are in the way. At one time we used to have that problem a lot in the Challengers area, where we have the substation to the back up there, and you have to speak with the owners and they walk along with us. In other cases we have to have the authorities to come in and assist us in either removing them or sending a letter or something to have these vehicles removed. So those are some of the challenges. And on our local our overhead lines, where the poles them normally, you see persons fencing in the poles, them doing well. They're doing agriculture and stuff like that, which we don't mind, but sometimes it would be to a point that they're fencing everything, and you want to go over there to do some work, you might have to jump over the fence, which is not something that a technician should be doing. So these are some of the challenges.
We don't mind. Not that we don't mind. We don't mind. So don't fence them in.
Yeah, so don't fence them in. Yes. So these are some of the things that we will be facing out there.
I know there was a very, very interesting situation in the Bastille area, the central Bastille area, where somebody was kind of like building onto a substation and digging out underneath the foundation.
What? Yes.
Yes. These are things that people are doing. I don't know how they're so brave, because it's electricity. Yeah. This is where all the magic happens, and I don't know why people feel so inclined to do things like this. But Jamin, you have to give us the real stories, because people won't believe and they won't be deterred unless they really understand what's happening.
Yes, I do. Yes, Miss Harris, yeah, that is so true. I don't know what normally just go through people's mind, but we speak to them. I'm more on that going and converse with persons and trying to explain to them the hazard and that they're putting themselves at risk, also the outage that they could cause, because like a year and a half ago someone set up shop under one of our major points, transmission point, to the point that they had a backer to come and do excavation that touched one of our main cables that caused and basically an outage that affected like 2/3 of the island. We had to like work like basically 18 hours straight to try to get all the customers them back on, and so these are things that we have to ask customers, ask a question, know where your surroundings are and the hazards. And the other thing that is interesting, a few months, like a month ago, a lady called me and told me why SKELEC cut her mango tree. So when I went in the area and did my investigation, the mango tree was in our lines. So these are other things that customers need to know. If your property bound, anything beyond your property bound, and it is in the way of the utilities and the affecting the utilities we have the right to trim that, because it's out of your property bounds. So that's
But that's
thing.
another challenge. Another superintendent spoke to me about that yesterday. We're doing vegetation management. We're cutting the trees from in the lines, and people are complaining, you're going with me mango, and who tell you cut down my tree and these sorts of things. But we're trying to maintain our grid. We're trying to ensure that we can get restoration done much more quickly when there is a major outage, weather disturbances. These trees in the lines, they cause major difficulties for us. So please just give SKELEC a chance. We're trying to get our work done. We're not trying to steal your goods and your produce, but we have a responsibility just as you do.
I would think that would be common sense. Yeah, and I would publicly say here that I apologize to SKELEC, because a lot of times when we have outage, I think it's our fault. But no,
it's not. It's really not our fault, please.
No, hearing these stories, I can see when it's not your fault.
All right,
We have callers?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay, I want to talk. I'm going to take this caller, but we're also experiencing a lot of vandalism. Like people taking spray paint and writing up on the substations. There might be very not nice things, but we want you to stop. All right, caller, good morning. You're live. Let's take this caller. All right, good morning, caller. You're live.
Good morning. My thing is, I don't see why people...
I'm not hearing this caller.
I don't see why people have to indiscriminately dump stuff inside your substation. Because...
Can you hold on?
Hold on, caller, because I'm not hearing you. You're coming in very low. I don't know if it's on our end or your end. So just hold on. Don't hang up. Alright, caller, try again.
I don't see why people should have to dump in the substation. Because as far as I am aware, every household was outfitted with a garbage bin. And the garbage is collected regularly. So I don't see why they have to have so much garbage piled up that they have to throw it inside the substation. A question for you though. When SKELEC is planting poles, and they're going to use stay wires.
When SKELEC is doing what?
Planting poles.
Planting poles.
And they're using stay wires. Stabilizing wires. Are they supposed to plant it on someone's property without their permission?
Yeah, I could answer that, caller. No, we don't normally plant stay wires on person's property, but if you know that we have planted a stay wire on the property, you come call us at 465-2013, let us know, and then we will rectify the matter.
I am one who has been suffering from that. I came home one day and met them. They plant a pole, not on my property. By the next day, the stay wire was on my property. And when I inquired, well, one of your lines, when the only thing he didn't tell me was how my mother bring me.
Oh, wow.
And I have been talking to Mr. Williams. I have been trying to get that stay wire off my property. It's more than 4 years.
What's the location, ma'am?
Done.
What's the location?
I'm in Sandy Point, Stadium View to be exact.
Okay. And you said you have been speaking to Mr. Williams. This is the general manager?
I have spoken to Doma Williams more than once. I have even threatened to remove it myself, which I have not done, because I know it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, thank you, Carla, for that.
It is really distressing me. And it is blocking me from fencing.
Alright,
Carla, can you give us a contact number so we could get in contact with you?
I'll give it off, yes.
You give it off, okay, thank you.
We apologize for the inconvenience and any foul words that might have been spoken by our employees, but Mr. Gilbert and I will try our best to look into the situation. Alright. So yes, we certainly, I am with that caller. Don't see any reason why people would want to dump in the substations. There are places where you legally are able to dispose of your waste. So please do not get into the habit of dumping at our substations, vandalizing our substations, making them into different rooms, bedrooms or bathrooms, breaking and entering, lounging, locking up your tools in there at the end of the day. Please, it's really dangerous, the substations, these electrical hazards. So please don't get into the habit, don't get any crazy ideas and execute them. You were saying, Mr. Brown?
Also, I don't know if anybody knows that by the electrical station, it gives off electromagnetic pulses. So that in itself, damaging your system once you get too close to it for too long.
Yes, and please, let's not do that. All right, Jiki, do we have any more callers? All right, good morning, caller, you're live.
Yes, well, good morning to you. How are you all today?
We're doing great, and yourself?
Good, thanks.
Okay, I'm seeking some assistance.
Okay.
I'm Conrad Liebert. I live at New Wood Village. In fact, Village Meadow area, right?
Okay.
Yes, what happened? I'm a blind person. And I have some cheese, coconut cheese, just in front of, my place, right? And the boughs are going through the line. They're going through the line, the overhead line. And I'm seeking some help. I'm trying, even yesterday I was trying to get on to yours. I'm seeking some help, so if one of you guys can come and just trim them out for me.
Okay, Mr. Liebert, can we have a number for you so we can give you a call to know where exactly to come?
Yes, you can call me at 665 8640.
8640.
Yes,
665 8640.
665 8640, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't get me on that one, you can call me at 664 1975. But try 8640 first. 665 8640.
So 1975 is the alternate number.
Yeah, but I want to give you in trouble. That's why I prefer your call.
Okay. All right. Well, Mr. Liebert, we apologize for any inconvenience, and we'll have a team look into it as soon as they can, all right?
Yes, please, because I'm a blind person. I can't do anything anymore.
Okay.
And I live alone,
Okay, no problem. We'll definitely look into it. Thank you for
Thank
calling.
you very much, please. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
All right. Vicky, do we have any more callers? All right. Good morning, calling your live.
Yes, good morning. This is a good program. Don't keep it Ali from Carl Liebert office, but you can tell it. Down my Carl Liebert office and you go down wrong there. Where Mr. Weeks used to live. I got post right in the drain going down there. And you came back down by when it's Haley them. In the drain. Where you couldn't find no way to put it.
Customer. That's lower pickup.
Yeah.
By Charlie, but officer, and I remember Marcella, them up there, and you come down the road there.
Yeah,
The
this
tailor?
one. Because
And I pick it early.
Okay. We
The
will
pick
look
it early, the other one, for the class where you depot.
Which one?
I think that's
But down by Mr. Weeks, Ali,
Okay.
down there. He was in the train, he bought a car, he would go so good.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
All right, we'll speak to the planning team about that one. Paul and the drain. All right. GK, any more callers?
Yes, we do. But before I get to the phone call there for you, there's a question for the gentleman in the studio. Are there any safety and security measures in place to protect the sun at the stations? Oh, that's the substations. And do you have security cameras in place as well?
If there are safety and security measures at the substations, there are this a lot of time. Okay, the substations are in different places. So some of them, they might be a part of compounds that are housed by different companies, and we utilize their security measures as well. Some of them we put barbed wires around them. We have locks and fences, so it's more physical security measures, right, Mr. Gilbert?
Yes, I'm correct, Ms. Harris.
Yeah, so I am. If there are security cameras that cover the compounds that they're in, then we are able to utilize them. But as you're aware, we have how many substations, Mr. Gilbert?
Well, you put me on the spot there.
It's a lot, because every time I'm driving around, I'm seeing another one.
There's a lot of substations. We have at least the major ones, 16 of them. Those are the major focal ones, and then we have the smaller ones them in between that we do less major things than them. Sometimes some of the major circuits run through them too, but we have at least 16 to 20 major ones.
Okay. So you can imagine it takes a lot of effort to be able to man those, and we are also undergoing some rehabilitation efforts to a lot of them, getting them redone, so you will be seeing them with a new color scheme, just a lot of improvements to them because of the challenges that we're witnessing. All right, GQ, let's get some few more callers in. Good morning, caller.
Hi, good morning. Are you all still cutting trees?
Yes, we do vegetation management on a regular basis.
Because since March, I have been calling concerning a tamarind tree down in camp. I was abroad and I came back, and before I left, I called and I had somebody here calling for me, and up to now, nobody has showed up, and it's really, the line is really tangled in the tamarind tree, and the tamarind tree is actually touching the house.
Where in camps is this, and are you prepared to leave a number?
466
Mm-hmm.
6041, and it's going down the lane there by the public bath in camp.
All right.
Okay, all right.
Thank you for calling, and we apologize for the inconvenience.
That's okay.
All right. So just give me take one last caller before we wrap up the program. Good morning, caller. You live?
Yes, good morning. Everybody there.
You're very, very low. I'm not hearing you.
I'm saying good morning to everybody there.
Good morning. You're loud and clear now.
Yeah, where the lady was talking about the lamppost in the train. It's Central Shailing.
It's where?
So what Shailing, Central Shailing.
Shailing.
And also, if where he used the Solid Waste Act to issue a summons, how long does it take? Can someone take before they pay that summons? Or pay that ticket?
May I hear the last part? Repeat the last part.
In one case, you said the person could be issued with a ticket.
Yeah.
A $500 ticket.
Mm-hmm.
How long does the person have to pay that ticket?
2 weeks. You have 2 weeks after being issued the ticket to pay the ticket.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thank you, caller. We want to thank all of the callers who would have called in today. We look forward to your participation in our program as we're here bi-weekly. We look forward to hearing from you what your concerns are and your contributions to the program. So thank you for doing so. I'll take this opportunity to allow my two guests today to provide their closing words, and then I will share a few as well.
Yes, okay, I guess it starts with me. What I would love the public to do, to restrain from dumping in our substations. The guys that goes to the substation is your cousin, your brother, it's your neighbor. So that's one of the things that I would like you all to practice, not to dump in the substation. Yeah, that's my simple wrap.
Alright, thank you, Mr. Gilbert. Mr. Bone?
Coming from the health standpoint, I would admonish every citizen to stop dumping, stop dropping things. One, it causes more harm than you actually realize. Sometimes the litter stays on land, but most times we locally, and it is our nature, our habit, to throw our discards into the public drain, and then that goes into the sea, which causes more problem out there. And a lot of us like to eat fish, and right now the population of fish are, in every piece of fish there's a piece of plastic. So that is what we're eating now. So remember that what we do in the onset with just dumping something, it has wider and larger implications. So just don't think of it as, man, I don't want this in my hand, let me throw it away. Wait until you reach to a garbage bin and dispose of it. Trust me, it is not easy. I know it is not easy because I do it all the time. When I have things to throw away and I walk with it, I have to wait either until I reach to a garbage bin or until I reach home. And that is a habit that I have now instilled in my children. So it is not easy, but we can break the cycle because it's better for us and the environment at large, not only the substation, because we're getting ourselves sick. And as COVID shows us, nobody want to be sick.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bone.
You're welcome.
I am asked to remind the public that we're in the peak of the hurricane season. We do have a system that continues to develop. Tropical Storm Lee continues to strengthen and is now near hurricane strength with sustained winds of 65 miles per hour, moving west-northwest at 40 miles per hour as of 5 a.m. today. This advisory was issued at 9 o'clock this morning. Lee is likely to become a hurricane later today and further strengthen to a major hurricane by the weekend. Most models continue to suggest that the center is likely to pass north of us. Nonetheless, we are closely monitoring the progress of Lee over the next few days as it approaches our vicinity and until it exits our area and poses no threat to us in SKN. Residents are reminded that we are in the peak period and should have your disaster plans ready. We at SKELEC, we continue to do work to be ready for when storms do strike. We ask you to get your hurricane kits, get all of the gear that you will need, and pay close attention to authorized media outlets. And pay close attention to SKELEC's website, Facebook pages, so that we can provide you with updates about any outages, any notices, any closure notices, anything that we think that the public needs to be aware of. Do remember, in the event of the passage of a storm, SKELEC can be reached at 465-2013. That's our emergency hotline. We also have 465-2000, which is our automated calling service. So please, we're at the peak of the season now. You realize it's getting a lot hotter. Please be prepared. I want to take this opportunity as well to discourage the public not only from dumping at our substations, but breaking and entering, loitering, fencing, leaving animals, having derelict vehicles. Anything that you're doing that you're not supposed to do poses an environmental and safety hazard and makes it much more difficult for us to restore power when it is gone and even to do our maintenance. So happy independence when it comes. I'll be back here in a few days, well, I think about a week and a half time. But until then, thank you so much for sticking and staying with us. Remember that SKELEC is the nation's leading utility provider, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Bye-bye.